sorry, who is actually speaking to us from a direct provision center today. So if the signal comes or goes, we will just be patient and tolerant, because Amani, in your life, I think you've learned patience and tolerance from a day-to-day level. So the least we can do is be patient and tolerant with your signal if it wanes. So we inshallah in the present moment. And we have Michael O'Sullivan as well, who, sometimes we forget about the people who are on the front line working for people who are migrants and refugees in the city. Michael he's on the board of the Migrants' Rights Centre, and he also has a centre for the Columbians that he makes people feel welcome in down there off Talbot Street. And it's just very interesting for us to hear about what are the frustrations and the joys of that type of work in today's world and in Dublin. So that's our panel, and me, Alan, who's the coordinator of the chaplaincy in TU Dublin, but I'm based here in Bolton Street at the moment, and I'm just back from having my booster. So if I fall off the seat or something, it's a reaction to a Pfizer injection. So we might just start with Amani. Amani, just a little intro. I know we've prepared some questions, and people, if you want to put questions in the chat room, please feel free to do that. Amani, just tell us where you are at the present moment in terms of your location, as much as you can tell us. And just one thing to say from the outset, we are not allowed to ask Amani what country she came from or mention that country, because we just want to ensure that our family are safe and that nothing gets back. So that, in case you wonder where she came from, that won't be asked and won't be mentioned. She will refer to a country, but it won't be named. Is that right, Amani? That's
yes, yeah. Yes, sure.
Okay, Amani, yes. A little bit now about where you are at this present point in time.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm happy that I am with you today. It's my honor to talk to you. And I live now and since 1 year in direct provision called Musni Accommodation Center in Meath, Co-Meath. So this is where I am since 1 year. And before that, I was also in direct provision in different 4 centers, and this is the 5th. And I wish that it will be the last one. I am originally from Palestine, and today is the International Day of supporting the Palestinian people, International Day, actually. I'm happy that I am talking in the right way. And also at the same time is the Justice Day, as you said. So I am originally from Palestine, and I was born in one of the GCC countries, and I moved to another GCC countries. I took my education in USA, in Boston. I was born there because my both parents are refugees. So I didn't choose to be a refugee from the beginning.
Manny, can I stop you there just to help people understand a little? So you as a Palestinian person,
yes,
have you ever lived in Palestine?
Never, and I cannot visit Palestine.
Okay.
I cannot visit Palestine. Everybody from around the world, they can visit Palestine and go to visit the holy places, the Christian and the Muslim areas, but I cannot.
So
because
let's help people understand, because you're Palestinian by origin, your parents were Palestinian, and you've never been living in that because you're a stateless people, yes, and you've lived in other countries,
yes,
as a Palestinian, like an Irish person living in another country.
Yes.
You have never lived in Palestine and never
yes,
been allowed to go back into it. So
yes,
apart from being a refugee and asylum seeker now, you're also stateless.
Yes.
And there's a lot of other peoples who are stateless as well, like the Hmong, the Vietnamese, they live in the Vietnamese border, and the Kurds, we hear a lot about at the moment. They're the people who have a language and a race and a culture, but don't have a country. And,
yes,
and so it's very complicated for a Palestinian person, because
yes,
some people don't recognize you come from a state if you want to seek asylum.
Yes. Yeah, actually seeking asylum, one of the reasons, not because my being stateless, actually I have an issue. And I was, as I told you, I got to one of the higher score in the high school. So I got a scholarship to study in KSA in Saudi Arabia. Let me see, the first country where I was born. but I moved to USA for further studies. So I was able to secure until I reached the master degree. You know, our master degree in USA, 3 years, not, you know, one research year and 2 years of residency. So I stayed there for some time.
You got a scholarship and it allowed you
Yes.
a visa to do your studies. And once
Yes.
your studies were finished, you had to leave the USA.
Yes, of course. And so I back to one of the GCC countries for a job and to build a family and to start, you know, my normal life.
Okay.
So I had 3 daughters, and I got married, and I have 3 daughters. And I worked there for almost 15 years, 18 years.
So as a you weren't a resident of the country you were in, so you had no rights. You're allowed work, and you know.
Actually, your visa there as a Palestinian or as a foreigner, just to have a visa yearly or every 2 years or 3 years maximum if you are lucky.
Yeah.
But for my case as a Palestinian, every 2 years, and I have to renew it. And without job, I cannot stay. The problem, where to go? So we keep moving. That's why I am international person. My father worked, yes.
Okay, man. So what you're saying is because you're a Palestinian living in another country, that you had no security. That once you were working, you could apply for a visa, and then when your visa ran out, you would hope to get another one. Otherwise, you would be again.
The problem, they will let you pay the penalty if you didn't find immediately another job to stay.
Yes.
You will pay the fine. Yes. And regardless that we have a country to go back. Like my father, he passed away without going back to his country. He was a teacher in all his life, as well my mom. So both of them working very hard. I told you under the air that my father, he was studying in Lebanon in the level 8 degree while the war in Palestine started. So he was out. So he considered outsider. He was, and then
so
not allowed to go back at all.
So in other words, you're living not in your homeland, you're living as a guest in another country, you're allowed work. So in other words, you at some stage in your life decided this is not, for me, it's not providing safety and security for my family. So yes. you decided to leave that country and seek asylum in Ireland.
Yes.
Now,
actually, not because of this.
So that's what I was saying, Manny.
Yes, I have another reason for that.
Before we go on, you were not in poverty in that country. You were living in that country as long as you were working. You had plenty to live on.
Yes. Actually, I am considered like any other one. Like working, if you are able to work and you have, of course, a clean record, security record, you will work if you find. But the problem, the struggling is the job security, and also what will happen if I lost my job. But at the same time, it's not this is the only reason. You cannot talk. You cannot say what you want, what's in your thought. You cannot even raise your flag. You cannot say, I have Palestine, it's an occupied country, because of the relationship between those countries and those countries. The safety issue and the security issue became an issue now. And I left everything behind. I left my car, my life. I escaped with my daughters.
You left your car?
Yes.
You left your home?
Your home, my car, my bank, everything, just to be myself, just to be in a safe place. But the subject is really critical, and I couldn't even stay longer. So every day is a danger day for me.
So Amani, people think of refugees, they have this typecast that it's somebody who's left because of poverty or economic reasons. You actually left what you would call a good lifestyle, a car, your own home that you owned, you had money in the bank, and you just decided for the safety of you and also for you to be yourself and for you allow your family that you could say, hello, I am a Palestinian, I am a woman, I think, I have beliefs, I have ideas. Yes. To be able to do that freely, you left all that behind and came to Ireland.
Yes, and my problem started actually earlier when I started. I am a little bit educated when it comes to politics because of my father's history, because of our history. But this is how we are in the family. I wrote some verbs in the Twitter or Instagram or something. Immediately I was blocked and I was called that I'm not allowed to talk about those things. Although it is not hurting any country, I know who I am, and I was taking all the precaution not to hurt or not to talk against anyone. But still, there is no freedom of being yourself, no freedom to talk, just to say thanks all the time. This is only what you can say.
So you didn't seek asylum because you had no job or you had no money. You sought asylum that you could be yourself.
That's it. Yes. Yeah. Maybe there is people with an issues like economic issue or issues, but most of us, I'm talking about my Palestinian community, most of us highly educated. And Palestine, according to UNESCO, one of the highest level of education among the Arab world. The education is very high. And our main power is the education. And this is what I taught I was taught by family, and also my both parents as highly educated. Myself is educated, and I'm still assuming for PhD. Okay. This was my dream.
Okay, so just for people who've come on later, Manny, you're speaking from Mosney Direct Provision Center.
Yes.
You were a level 9 qualification from American University because you got a scholarship and a visa to go and study. You went back to your home country, and you're here in Ireland because you're seeking asylum on the basis that you just want to be able to say who you are in the world. And also there is an issue for the security and safety of your children and giving them a future as well. Would you like to speak a little bit about that? Why, as a mother, you have, there's that great poem that says that no mother puts her children in a boat, unless what they leave behind is awful. So
really,
what was it for your children? What were you leaving behind? What were you seeking for them in leaving all that structure behind? What were you seeking for them?
When you raise in a country, when you are born in a country, you, as a child, you feel that this is your country. Because, I don't know my country. I visited my country one time in my life, or with my mother when I am young, because her father under the Red Cross, only one time, and for only 1 month, and it was bad experience because there is some war and issues I don't want to remember.
No.
But I consider that GCC countries is my own country, and I loved it. I give my power, my education, volunteering, serving the community, speaking their language, speaking their dialogue. If you look at me when I'm wearing their clothes, eating their foods, I am exactly like them because I was born and belonging to them. Then suddenly you will find that you are not allowed to visit your mom in the other GCC countries. You are not allowed to have a guest from Palestine to visit you. So there is a lot of struggling just to see my mom, the old woman who is in Saudi Arabia, for example. Now, for my children, when I reach the point that I cannot put my daughters in that fire again. I don't know what will happen to me if I will be caught for my word. Because I am a hot person, I will say my opinion anyway. I cannot hide it. So I will end up, and I have the right to talk about a country which occupied. I have the right to ask for the freedom of the Palestinian right. Those people who need to have a state to live in and to be like any other country in the world. So we end up with, I have to take my dad. One of my daughters, she was studying medicine in one of the countries. One of my daughters, I took her from her college. I was not able to secure one of the ladies because I have 3 daughters. I was able to bring 2, and both those daughters are really excellent especially in science, and they got very high scores. But I stopped everything and I took them. I said, leave everything, leave the money, because I cannot reach even my money in the bank because I am not resident anymore. But I have no right there. So I end up with escaping, taking them. I want them to get a normal life. Normal life not looks like my life, because I told you, although I was part from the society, I thought I will be respected, but I never get my right. Even when I found a job after coming back from US, I worked for the international company, not for a governmental company, because governmental country only for citizens. I'm not considered citizen or even equal to them.
So what will Ireland give your daughters that where you were won't give them?
Sorry, again.
What will Ireland, if you're successful in your application for asylum in Ireland, what will it give your daughters that the country you were in cannot give them?
Actually, yes. The girls now, the two daughters are lucky because they work very hard and they studied very hard and they got a scholarship from their high score in Science Foundation program, and they secure a scholarship in the university now, both of them, genetic science and medical technology science. But the girls now, they have belonging to Ireland more than even the country where they're born, because they feel that this country give them the security, the education, you know, the peace I feel in Ireland, even when I am in direct profession, the peace of mind in Ireland, I didn't get it all my life in GCC countries. Because, you know, you are struggling. If I am not working in an international company, what I will do? How I will secure my residency? Where I will be tomorrow? It's really struggling.
And I worked in Manny with undocumented people, Irish people in America, and living in a place that you don't know if you're going to have security is a really, you know, it's fraught, that you can forget about it sometimes, and then some days you wake up and you say everything could be taken from me.
Yes.
And you know, we don't think about that. Like, we're in secure jobs, we're in, you know, we don't have to worry that we're going to be picked up and sent back to another country. And I know this is a growing issue in the world today of people, you know, being undocumented or illegal, as they're sometimes called. But for you, a country didn't offer the long-term security, and so that's why you took the decision. And Manny, I'm just going to come back to you shortly, but I want to bring Michael O'Sullivan in, because Michael is sort of works for what you call migrants' rights in Ireland, and we never give a voice to people who are trying to do something. And that's why I said, Michael, so Manny, we'll come back to you in a few moments. You can think of what more you want to say, and other people may want to ask questions as well. But I think we'll give Michael a chance. Michael, stories like Manny's, you guys hear this all the time. You can say a little bit of who you work for.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I'm very happy to have my voice heard, but it really is the voices of people like Amani and people we work with who don't get a hearing. So well done to have organized this. Yeah, so I work with the Colombians, who are a missionary order, and about 20, working mainly in Asia and Latin America, but also we work here. I'm a layperson. And if you go back 25 years ago, migration wasn't a big thing in Ireland, but it did become a biggish thing towards the start of the 2000s. And initially, because Colombians had connections with the Philippines, we were aware of a lot of Filipino nurses coming to Ireland and finding that they faced lots of challenges. So we set up a thing called the Filipino Workers or Migrant Association. After 3 or 4 weeks, we changed it to the Asian Migrant Association, and then it became the Migrant Rights Association, because what we learned was the flow of migrants coming in was coming in from all over the world, and the issues were rights issues. They weren't just, you know, culture issues. There were issues of rights, because we didn't have a system set up to protect the rights of migrant workers.
So what is going on like for you on a day-to-day basis in the work you do today? And we're hearing just a Manny story.
Yeah, so just the two strands to what we do is, as you say, so the migrant rights, which 4 of us, a couple of Colombian sisters, Colombian priests, myself, set up 20 odd years ago, grew, and it's now a very strong NGO. And that on a day-to-day basis is working with rights issues in terms of workers' rights and so on, and we continue to support that. On a day-to-day basis here, we kept, so the migrant rights outgrew the space that we had here, and they have a very good place up there in Dorset Street, but we're here in the heart of the city, just around from Store Street Police Station, across from the Bazaars. And what we found was that there were gaps, there were people who were falling out of the system, really. So Armani talked about being out in Mosney in the Direct Provision Centre. We were finding that there were people all around us in Gardner Street, in the hostels around, who were staying in bed and breakfasts, who were, some direct provision centres were in the city centre, and they were walking around streets that for them were streets that weren't friendly streets for them. They were places that they felt a bit alienated and unsafe and so on. So our first thing was to offer hospitality, that people could come in, have a cup of tea, have a chat, We have lots of people who work with us have different language skills as well, which helps. And then we worked out that there was an immediate need for firstly that people would know when they walk past our door, and it's like a shop window. I mean, literally, like it's not behind a closed door. People can look in and see us, and the light is on, and that they would know that it's a friendly place that they could come to. So on a day-to-day basis, the main service we offer actually is informal language, English language, because that's such a big block to with people learning the language. But actually, a lot of the language provision is so formalized, so people have to sign up.
What's your greatest frustration as somebody who's on the front line trying to make a difference?
I think, well, look, the greatest frustration and the greatest joy is meeting the people that are, people like Amani, and that you think, gosh, these are brilliant people who have had to deal with so much. And the greatest frustration is the simple blocks that get in their way. That, you're looking at somebody who's listening to Armani. I always quote my friend and colleague Bobby Gilmore, who says every migration is a journey of hope. So people are coming on a journey of hope, which you can hear from Armani, and a hope for her children as well. But it's also a journey of fear. It's not an easy, this is everything's going to be, we're going to Disney World, it's going to be wonderful. People are coming out of fear, and they want to come to a place where they can flourish. They can be like a plant put in the right soil, that they can actually flourish, and they can relax. They don't have to be all the time thinking about when is the next provisional thing is going to happen. And I think probably one of the biggest frustrations we have here is how, when we make connection with somebody, so somebody will come into us and we'll start to build up a relationship with them, and we'll start helping them a bit with their English. And to be honest, we initially thought we weren't very good at it, because we're not official teachers and we don't have a classroom and we have small space here. But what we found was, when a couple of migrants or refugees came together and got a friendly welcome and some help, they started helping each other, and their confidence. Learning a language is about a lot of things, but a lot of it is feeling comfortable and confident that you can use so we'd find that. But the next thing would happen is they wouldn't appear for a couple of weeks, and then we get a text message to say they've been moved down to Cork or they've been moved somewhere else. Yeah. So all the things you want to make people rooted would turn up.
I might stop you there, Michael, because I think what you're saying there, Amani, got a little, it resonated with you, Amani, in terms of what Michael was saying. You can understand what they're trying to do, and it wasn't PR. It was heartfelt, and I know you felt that, and you have had that experience of moving around direct provision centres. And I must say, I when speaking to you, you're so complimentary to some of those centres. So would you like to talk a little bit about what Michael was talking about, what people can do, but also your little journey in direct provision in Ireland, because you left a lovely home with the freedom to be able to travel and get in a car and go to the bank and go to the ATM and get money out, and you arrived in Ireland into direct provision. So maybe for the benefit of everybody who's here and who will be listening to us, because we are recording this to share this, talk a little bit about that direct provision experience.
Yeah, it is a tough experience. Especially for my case, for example, the receiving emergency is Balsiskin in Dublin, beside the airport.
The first one you went to.
The first one. This is the receiving area, and there, hundreds of nationalities and line for food, and sharing one room with my two daughters, especially. Then when they join the school, there is a fear that we will move anytime. So they will tell you, the managers or those people in the key person, they will tell you, don't go to any school now. Don't try to find anything now, because you might move to any other far away country, or Cork, Limerick, or any place. So we never feel with stability. We stayed the first 2 months, we are afraid. But I took the courage and I decided to, because I brought with me some small money and I have some friends loan. I didn't find a proper education for my girls. They said nothing for them now, nothing after the papers. So I decided, or maybe small courses like level 3, level 5 or I don't know, some levels. I didn't understand the, the education system in Ireland. I'm not aware about it.
So you didn't take the advice, you just went ahead and got them set up.
I took the courage, and I took myself, and I told them, look, this is the money I have, this is I watch, this is my good mobile. I sold them all. I put them in a foundation program in Dublin, and I let them study. And I told them, if they will move me, I will move myself.
Oh, you sold your watch and your good watch, and you sold your good phone.
I sold my laptop, my good laptop. Now I have nothing,
Yeah.
I sold everything, and I put those money together. I have some small saving, which I brought with me to cover me the first days, because I don't know about what's going on or what was waiting for me.
So you were in the first, and you got your children into
the school.
education. And then how long were you in that one before you moved?
Yes, but there is a fear that I might move anytime. My daughters couldn't accept the place, and they were hiding in the school. They go to at 7 o'clock in the morning and coming back at 7 in the evening, just not to be with the other refugees. They said, Mommy, it's difficult. Some people, because they are young and they are beautiful, lovely, small girls. And, the people are look at the men, a lot of men look at them.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
In different, you understand me. I don't want to explain more. So, yes. And in that, from different culture, we have a culture. We have, systematic culture, and we care about the females, and we care about boys and girls, but we care more. Yes. So I end up with that they are going to the school, but I am happy that I took that step. Because of that, then I talked to social worker, begging him to not move us to Cork or somewhere, because already in the school, he said, I cannot promise you. IBAS cannot promise you. IBAS is the responsible about accommodation. Within 40 days, we moved to another center in emergency center also, but without any, notice. Just you will see your name on the list after 2 months. In Castle, the Newcastle. It was very far from their school. The girls leaving at 5 a.m. to reach there at 9 or 10 a.m. Very far, and different buses. Anyway, and come back also late to home. But they were able to study and get high scores. They studied very, very hard and very bad. And the room they are giving us, just a small teeny room for them, shared with others. And for me, I'm shared with also from different, countries, Somalia, Africa, different countries.
So the girls yes. managed to stay in school, but it was a lot of extra effort after the move. From
Yes, but I was happy that at least it is within Dublin in that time. Within short notice, because of COVID, they move us to another center. You build relationship, you met some, the place, you became familiar with everything, with the manager, you are adjusted yourself with the management. Then you end up with moving suddenly. So that was the third center. Shortly, another center, because we were 4 in the room. So we have to be 2 in the room according to distancing and, the issue with COVID-19. But actually, it's a lie, because there we are eating in the same place, the shared kitchen. And some of them are working and coming back to the center, working in home care, some of them.
You found some kindness in some of these centers, didn't you? Even in the management, and you spoke to me about that.
And actually, yes. And it depends about the center. Sometimes you are lucky, like one of the centers, I will say thanks, Mr. Bowl. There is an Irish farmer man, wonderful. He was handling one of the centers, and he was a generous man, kind, and supporting the girls in their education, buying for them, the container to put the food, to spend the day outside, buying for them some yogurt.
Yeah.
Yes. But we didn't stay for a long time, only for 3 months. Then end up for another center, which was very tough.
Yeah, but no, I just say, Amani, I was very impressed with you when you spoke of the kindness, because we all think black and white, and we think, that you were able to, even in the midst of that experience. Yeah.
I like always to focus on the both. I don't like, it's unfair to say that everything is bad. There is a good thing about safety. What about safety? I was really thankful for having the safety, for having a shuttle for being with my daughter in my place. This is, was my dream,
Yes.
because my daughter was studying far away country. I was not able to see her in the where I am before. So there is good things and there is bad things, of course.
So
The tough thing, it comes from the private sector, as I said. Sometimes some managers not aware about our feeling. And as you said, some of them, they are thinking that we came from the jungle. We know nothing about life. We don't know technology. When they show us how to carry the cattle for heating the water, this is how you subdue. This is how you subdue. I'm making myself patient. I'm praying for God, give me patience. Because I told her, I'm familiar with that 30 years ago. I don't know, I have an email since 25 years ago. I know how to use the computer.
You've been boiling a kettle since you were a child.
Misunderstanding. Yes. There is a lot of a struggle when it comes to, like, for example, I am a Muslim in Ramadan, I should fast. And she told me, it's not a problem that you are a Muslim. I told her, it's not my problem because I didn't choose. You didn't choose to be Christian. I didn't choose to be Muslim. We have to respect each other. But when I talked to Abbas, I got the support. But I feel bad for those people who's not speaking English, or like my daughter. If my both daughters are not talkative like me, not strong like me, mommy, don't talk about these things. Please, let us live in peace. Don't ask about our right. Let us just accept what they gave us. They became weaker because of the system, the direct provision system.
And Manny, just to remind people now that you left behind a lovely lifestyle. You know, lovely lifestyle. Say you had a home, you had a car, you had money in the bank. You didn't have the security. You've come to Ireland to seek that. One I think it's even Bobby Gilmore said it, that migration is a journey of the heart.
Yes, it is.
Can you explain that for us in terms of, because you have one daughter, you have two daughters with you, you have one daughter back in the country. As I said, we're not going to name the country because for your daughter's safety.
Yes, she's alone.
And you're not with your husband. So it is a journey of the heart.
My husband is another country as well. So we scattered, but we couldn't secure anything for the daughter because she was over 21 and not easy to secure a visa for Palestinians. This is, everybody knows this.
Yes.
So I couldn't make anything for her. I tried my best, but we couldn't. So we decided to leave her back and to at least take some of them. She was in a good state because, you know, that place have different state. One of them is really a little bit better. So she's in that place. We kept her in the under the safety of one of my neighbor. She's a national of that country. I told you, the people different from the governments. The people in general are very good, but the government's a different story. So my journey was really tough in the beginning, but we took the courage. We said, we have to do it now. I am, since 5 years, has decided to leave, but I haven't a clear plan. I don't know where to go or what I'm supposed to do. So we end up with this journey. I'm not, sorry for doing that. I'm not sorry for being in that danger, or that. I'm happy that I did it because I felt that I took the right decision. I know now there is a country with laws and regulation. There is a system to follow. There is a policy to do. So I know my right, and I know the people right.
Why did you choose Ireland?
Yeah, actually, Ireland who chose me. One of my daughter, I was planning to go to USA because this is the place I know, but it's not easy. I'm struggling to renew my visa. I have a long visa, but it's expired. You know, the struggling of securing a visa is not like you are just booking and go. We are Palestinian. When we are applying for visa, we put our hand on our heart. Even if you are rich, even if you have a bank account, but because of the nationality, many countries are refusing. They know that those people are stateless, they might stay. You understand? You have to show them, you have to prove for them that you will not going to stay. So we'll bring paper from the work. She will return. Like I am academic, teaching in the college as a part-time, because I cannot be full-time because of my nationality. So although I'm teaching 4 courses in public health and policy.
you couldn't get a visa for the United States because you have a high risk of staying and not going back to your country.
Yes.
So you
So
came to Ireland
yes.
because is that because we're a bit easier, or you
not easy to come to Ireland as well. Not easy.
Yeah.
But one of my daughters, she got she found, because she was in the high school,
Yes.
and she's a good student, and she was searching for university. She might follow her sister in one of the countries, studying in one of the countries, but she was refused. You know, a young girl of 17 years old and with a clean record like a baby, and she was refused to have a student visa. She started to search Canada, USA, Ireland. So when she got the first visa in Ireland, immediately she got it, and she told me, "Mommy, you have to come with me." Yeah. So we decided something, and you know, it wasn't easy.
So your daughter got a student visa, and you came to visit, and on that visit, you
and the aim is not the student visa itself, but the aim is to escape. Yeah. We want a safe country. You know, we want to go to a place where we will be respected as women and as a human.
Yes.
Because I cannot leave my daughters in that place. I don't know what will happen to them if I will be caught or if I will be taken for any reason or without reason.
Oh, I mean that's clear, and we're sort of just as much as in that journey of the heart. You know, it must break your heart that one daughter is in another country and your husband
in another country. A very difficult days. You can't imagine how many times we cried, how many times we missed the family, how many times we said it's hard to stay in direct profession.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. We safe. Yes, thanks God that they are giving us, you know, shuttle and place to stay, but it's hard. You have to mix with people from different culture, maybe 300. Some people, not easy to deal with them, but we had a good relationship at least, but it's really hard because the feeling that you are seeking asylum is not an easy feeling. I spend my life escaping from this position. I decided to study and to work and to make money, that I will not be in the situation of my father when he escaped from Jaffa. Yeah. I decided to be in that place. But at the end, I end up with the same way. But I am thankful and I'm so happy that I am in a good place and in a country with laws and regulation. There is a system to go through, and there is, you know, something to follow, something clear.
Okay. We'll come back to that in a moment, Amani, about what you hope for and will you hope to be with your family again. And I just want to go back to Michael just to say, like, you know, what is, you know, there's lots of polarized opinions in the media about migrants and refugees, and, you know, there must be some principles you guys follow to inform your work. And what are those principles that you think you could share with the rest of us?
I mean, as I say, we come from a tradition where justice is a big part of what we seek. And, you know, listening to Armani, and if any of us apply that to ourselves and feel how unjustly treated we feel, I often think one of the first things that the second child you have, if you have kids, I have two, second child learns the term, it's not fair, very quickly, because it's have an instinctive sense of this isn't right. So there's that, but also hospitality is a big core of our tradition as well. You know, welcoming people, making, you know, and we've been migrants. We've had a long history of migration and so on. And so we know about not being welcome. So there's a basic thing about justice and fairness, but there's also just a human contact and interest in people. And I would say, you know, you mentioned about, you know, decent people in direct provision. There are decent people all over the place. And like the street we've had businesses support the work we do, you know, doing fundraising for it. You meet loads of, there's people, landladies in bed and breakfasts who actually, because they have these long-term, you know, we have two Somalian girls, one 13, one 23, from very difficult war-torn situation. And the landlady goes up beyond what she is paid to do to look after them. So there's lots of goodwill, but on the other side, the very frustrating thing is that we have a system which Amani says we have a system and other things, but actually a lot of refugees and asylum seekers are being shunted out of the system into a sort of another world, a world that sort of exists, you know, and people don't really know about it. So you think, well, you know, people are getting accommodation, they're getting food and whatever. But like, again, an anecdotal thing. In Mosney there, the last time I was in Mosney was through one of the students we had here, a Mongolian student. We heard about a Mongolian couple in Mosney who the woman was going to give birth to her first child the following week, and she had nothing in her little chalet, nothing for a baby, not a cot, not anything, not even talk about toys or whatever. So we organized to get a cot for her, and I brought it down in my car to it. Stopped at the gates, and car searched by a security guard as if I was bringing in contraband or weapons. And I'm thinking, there's a woman giving birth next week. You know, she was due to give birth next week, but you know that could happen anytime. And she didn't know that she'd have a cot to bring home to her kids. And that's not because like we were given the cot, there was generosity, but as I say, there's a system that allows a culture of not hospitality. In England, they call it a hostile culture. And the notion is somehow if you make it hostile enough, people will leave. And as I say, people are here because they were not flourishing where they came from. They were living in that provisional world of fear, of, you know, not sure about their status, and often living in places where, you know, physical hostility, their lives are under threat. So
thanks, Michael. You put it very well there, very succinctly. And if people want to put a message into the chat box, feel free for Amani or for Michael, as we'll be finishing in a few short minutes, and this recording will be available. And I'll ask Suzanne. Suzanne will send on the link to you for where this will be on YouTube if you want to share it with some of your classes, etc. Amani, if we had the power to grant you what you wish for, what would that be? What do you wish for? Like, if we could just grant you something at the moment, what is your deepest wish at the moment?
You know, just to be, you know, justice, and to feel like I am human and equal to anybody else, and nobody will deal with me according to my nationality. Forget about my nationality. Look at my skills. Look at me as a human, as a you know, woman who wants to give something. I want to work. I want to give the community. I want to pay the taxes to feel that I am supporting too, like everybody else. I don't want to receive the welfare. It's not me. Many people like me. I don't want to receive the small fare and eat and hide at home. That's not me. I want to be, you know, an active participant, an active resident.
What do you want for your daughters? What's your wish for your children?
You know, this is actually all what I did is mainly for them, because I told them, Mommy, I want you to have the right to see your family when you want. Like me, I couldn't see my mom for 15 years because she's in a country I'm not allowed to visit her. She became old and I couldn't visit her just because of my nationality. I want them to work and to study, and not to study anything, to continue studying until they will reach to be scientists, you know, masters and PhD, and work and use the power. The education, you know, is the power. And to give the country back, because they are very grateful when they got the scholarship in DCU. They were very happy and grateful. They studied hard, they got it. You know, fair, at least from this part. But to join the third level education wasn't easy, and not possible easily for the asylum seeker. But those girls, it worked in other way. They worked as an international student, as I told you, and they got it only as an excellent student, but not as a regular student. But they got it at the end, and there is chances. I know the competition is high, and the chances of the third education. Just to tell you that I am part of a community under Massey and Massey group,
yes,
which I am working hard with them to give the right of the third education, just to do, you know, to use the power of the brains, the young brains. Like my daughters, they are young and staying at home. If I didn't take the decision to let them go and study from my own bucket, against their father will, against the community will, against everybody will, they will not be able to get, you know, the school. Yeah, but it's very, very important to give the, you know, to use the power, the brains of those young people, and let them study. If they are, of course, meeting the criteria and get...
and also, Amani, that they don't get bitter. That they don't get bitter in their hearts. That they can,
You know, that beautiful feeling of feeling safe, feeling, you know, that you are normal and human like everybody else. The equality, it's very, very beautiful feeling. I didn't get it yet. Exactly, but I'm looking for it.
Yeah, Amani, we do here in the university have a number of places, number of people every year come in from direct provision, and we facilitate that, and it's probably a good, listening to you talk, it's a good reminder to the university why it should continue to do that, and why it needs to do it, and you know, to help people flourish rather than. And I you know, today
because I know the level of depression and stress among those people, young people, especially old people and young, is high. But education will solve many problems. At the same time, they will be useful for themselves and for the community.
Yeah, and Amani, I think it's good for us because at the moment with COVID, we're all gone into I call it antiseptic bubbles, where we're thinking of ourselves and protecting ourselves. And we're forgetting there's a world out there and people with greater need. And that's not to say that not everybody has their own needs, but it's good for us to remind ourselves that we need to reach outside our bubbles and hear voices of other people. And I think that we need to be hearing these stories, because the opinions we pick up on social media is not the future. It's listening to people's hearts and sharing journeys. And I think you've been absolutely enlightening, and I want to thank Michael for coming on board as well, and wish him every luck in his work and I know it sounds simple, hospitality and bringing a cot up to a lady who's having a baby.
I like to volunteer with Michael. I like to work under the management of Michael and to be to be a volunteer in his community.
And Amani, we cannot thank you from the bottom of our hearts for having the courage, and I hope you felt in these moments respected and heard, and I hope that your story brings just a sense of the humanity of the people who sometimes we categorize and put into boxes as, and as you say yourself, people think you're from the jungle. They were your words, but and hopefully, and maybe someday you can lecture in our university, not just in your subject but in your life. And continue to have a platform to inspire people the way you've inspired us today. Yes. And even though the number of people on the platform are limited today, we will be recording this and make it available to the wider university. So I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to listen in today. I'm sure that people have felt the benefits of listening to Amani and to Michael. And it's a joy for us in the chaplaincy to facilitate this. And maybe we should be doing more of it. But I hope I have been, you know, let's say, unbiased in my questioning. I hope I've helped you, Amani and Michael, just express what you needed to express in a safe way and be heard. And Amani, we will stay in touch with you and consider us a friend now and stay in touch.
Thank you so much. It's my honor.
And you can come into us someday here and meet us for lunch as well.
Come in for a cup of tea here in town if you're in town.
He might give you a cot to bring home, Amani.
Indeed. You're all actually welcome if you're passing. We do good coffee and tea.
Amani, would you like to say anything? I'll give you the last word. I think Michael would have no problem with that. Would you, Michael, if we ask Amani if you'd like to bring our proceeding to the end before we close down the session?
I would like to say thank you so much for inviting me today to talk, and I have actually a lot to say and to thank and also to add. But what I give today is just summary of the whole journey, with the heart journey. I love it. Actually, I enjoyed a lot, and thank you for those people who's attending today, and thank you for inviting me. I hope for Ireland the best, because you know I read the history of Ireland. I went through while I am in the lockdown. I studied the history of Ireland. I went through all the struggle Ireland went through. I was really happy that one day also my country will get the freedom as well as Ireland did. So Ireland give me the hope, and Ireland give me the safe place, and I love the nature also. I am a rain lover, so I am. Yeah, I have enough sun there. So I love it, and I love also the attitude and the behavior of majority of Irish, because they have the education and the understanding the cases, unlike some other nation who have no clue or no history information about anything. So thank you so much for having me today, and I have a hope that tomorrow will be better, and the direct provision will be end soon, and we will be like everybody else, live and also give back to the community, integrated with the community, and be a beautiful, lovely, useful and fruitful member of the society.
Amani, thank you for that. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Inshallah, as God will. All the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Bye-bye.
thank you, everybody. We're just going to close down this Zoom, and we will let you know where it's available if people want to follow up on it or listen to it again. But on behalf of everybody, I'd like to thank Michael and Amani for their openness and wish them the fullness of hope, the realization of their hopes in the work and in their lives. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Amani and Michael will stay on and we'll stop recording.
Okay.